Welcome back to the channel today, guys. And it's been a crazy couple days for me personally, but I'm glad that we're here to talk about Call of the Night episode 13 today, the final for season 1. And what a great episode it was. You know, nothing super crazy, but it was a great conclusion to the season, and I'm very happy to be talking about it with you guys today. You know, I think overall this show has been easily one of the highlights of this season, for sure. If not, like, one of the best shows just in general this season. So, without further ado, let's just get straight into it and talk about Call of the Night, episode 13, final today. So, our episode begins with us just focusing in on Nazuna right here. Last week's episode, we really focused on Ko and the struggles he's been going through. So we open up with Nazuna sitting in her apartment alone, just by herself. And you really feel it right there. You really feel what she said last week of how just being a vampire is lonely. As she's just sitting there on her own, as she decides, you know, it's time for me to go do something. So she heads out and does that. So it's here we transition to Ko actually going over to Hatsuka's house. Because if you remember from our previous episode, he's on the run right now, basically. He's trying to hide out from the cops. So he actually ends up going to her house to kind of lay low for a little bit. And immediately once they're in there, they get bombarded by the people that are already in the house, which are apparently Hatsuka's offspring or potential offspring. And let's just say they're devoted. Let's just say that they're very enthusiastic and very opinionated, I guess you could say. And they swarm Hatsuka immediately. And right away, Hatsuka's like, all right, I have a guest here, so why don't you guys kind of, get the hell out? Which, of course, none of them want to do, but with a little bit of forceful persuasion, they get out, and it's just Ko and Hatsuka there. And it's here as Ko's sitting here waiting. He starts running through his thoughts about what's been happening recently, and he comes to a conclusion that, Hatsuka's really weird. She seems really weird compared to other vampires. Or maybe she's just normal. And then he starts remembering his conversation with Anko that he just had, and how she's kind of scrambled his thoughts in a way. How she's made the night seem kind of distant. And it's here that Hatsuka calls out to Ko saying, yo, I forgot a towel. Can you go get me one? And it's here that we get a very interesting revelation. It's here that Ko comes to realize that Hatsuka is not a she. He is a he because he is a man. And Ko is a little taken back, to say the least. Hatsuka tells Ko, like, I'm shocked that Nazuna didn't tell you something like this. And Ko says to him that Nazuna really doesn't tell me anything. Rather that I've never really made a chance to properly ask, even though there's probably been plenty of opportunities to do so. Hatsuka says, don't really blame yourself too much. Nazuna has a way of being evasive. And it's here we transition to Nazuna actually confronting the other vampires we've met in our series, saying, yeah, I don't think Ko's going to be a vampire after all. Sorry about that. And they're all quite confused, and they start saying, oh, well, why don't we talk about this properly? And Nazuna cuts him off by saying, even if he doesn't, I want you all to leave him alone. I want you to give him a pass even if he doesn't become a vampire. They say he has the potential to alert others about vampires, and you want us to just leave him alone? That's awfully different than what we agreed upon. Nazuna's just trying to play it off like, yeah, I apologized, didn't I? But Nico does not have it right here. Smashes the table with her fist, saying, you think sorry's gonna cut it? I'm gonna freaking murder you. Nazuna says, if you think that's gonna solve this, then just do it already. You know I won't die that easily anyway. But Nico's not having any of it. She says, you obviously came here to face some consequences, but did you really think it would be that easy, Nazuna? Killing amongst ourselves isn't really allowed, and I'm not really feeling up to it either. So killing Ko would be the easiest way to solve everything. As Nazuna says, I'll kill you if you hurt him. As Nico snaps in this instance and gets right in Nazuna's face. And for the first time, we actually see Nazuna intimidated. As she yells, "That's not any way to ask something for something, huh? There's not any way to ask for something, is it? I asked you once before, but what is Ko to you, huh? How is he any different from any humans before him?" And it's here we transition back to Hatsuka as he, I should say, learns that, so you don't know if you want to be a vampire after all? After you made such a big deal of becoming one? That's actually really lame. As Ko starts explaining the events of what happened that makes him feel this way, and Hatsuka's like, a human that can kill vampires, huh? Do you know exactly how they did it? Ko says, I think she deliberately made him drink her blood, and he said it was awful. Also that she handed him something, and when he was exposed to sunlight, he turned into this mist, kind of like dust. Ashy even, as Hatsuka thinks about it and says, I thought so. As he actually tells Ko that, I can't say anything for certain because, to tell you the truth, vampires don't know much about vampires either. Humans don't really know much about humans, right? So it's not really that hard to understand. Vampires don't do anything other than live life. That's why none of us actually know anything at all about vampires. You talked about awful tasting blood, but we don't really know why there's a difference between good and bad tasting blood either. And it's here that Hatsuka asks him, like, oh, so by the way, your blood's supposed to be tasty, right? You would have been in a fix tonight if I hadn't given you a place to hide, right? As Hatsuka suddenly starts getting aggressive with Ko, saying, let me have a little bit of blood, come on. I look like a girl, don't I? Ko's like, that's not the point. That's not the point here. As he asks him, like, why do you dress like a girl? And he replies that, because I look good, obviously. For some reason, both men and women are attracted to me this way. Ko says, I don't really get that kind of thing. His catchphrase throughout the show. And he says that I tend to assume people like what they do or someone's making them do it. And Ko asks him, like, you fell in love too once, right? Before you turned, were you conflicted? Were you scared? But before that question can get answered, Hatsuka gets a message, actually, showing us what kind of situation that Nazuna's in. Hatsuka asks him, like, do you understand exactly what Nazuna said? And Ko says, yeah, if I don't become a vampire, I could be killed at any point, and Nazuna's trying to protect me. Hatsuka tells him, just so you know, you being killed isn't a definite thing. Vampires have no clear-cut rules. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with you two going forward. But there are consequences. And sometimes we demand harsher consequences from each other than from humans. Right now, you're really not the one in danger, Ko. Nazuna is. So here's my proposition. You should become one of my offspring. And he asks him, how can you save Nazuna right now, who's about to face the consequences of her actions, by becoming a vampire? As he tells Ko that it's extremely unlikely that you're going to fall in love with Nazuna. Saying how Nazuna may be odd, but you're a kid going through adolescence right now, and you don't even have an inkling of attraction right now. I think I'm the only one who can really understand how you feel as a guy, and I'm positive I can turn you into a vampire. As Ko starts thinking to himself, like, it's true that there is a big divide between men and women. I've always felt that the two sides will never truly understand each other. But is that really true? As Ko says, you said I don't feel an inkling of attraction, but isn't that true towards you as well? As Hatsuka says, oh, that's easy. I'm not nice like everyone else. All I have to do is trick your brain into thinking you love me. Romantic attraction is basically like being brainwashed anyway. That's why my offspring all seem really happy. So why don't you let me turn you, Ko? As Ko immediately says no upon hearing that. As Ko says, it's true that there is a divide between men and women. We can't understand each other fully. But when I think about it, this has nothing to do with gender. I've never really understood anyone in my life. I don't think I'll ever understand Nazuna or you. But even if I was a girl, I would still want to fall in love with Nazuna. Then Hatsuka then asks him, like, well, what are you going to do then? Nico's pissed right now. I don't know what she'll do. I said you getting killed might not happen, but that also means that it could happen. Are you prepared for that to happen? As Ko answers back like, do you intend to kill me, Hatsuka? If you don't intend to kill me, then I think I'll be alright. I'm not prepared to be killed at all, but I just don't want Nazuna to be bored, I guess. As Ko finally comes to a decision of sorts. As Ko rushes out the apartment and runs after Nazuna. And as he gets to the meeting point, Nico comments, "Oh, you're late. You literally just missed her." As Ko says, "Oh, that means Nazuna's alright then? That's good. That's a relief." As Nico tells him, "I don't know about okay. She won't be capable of proper conversation for a while." As Ko asks her, "What did you do to Nazuna?" As she just gives him a look. And he immediately tries to run off. And she stops him saying, "Where are you going?" Saying how Nazuna said she didn't want to see you right now. As Ko actually snaps and says, "Will you shut up? I want to go see her, okay?" As he runs out of there. Now, as he's out looking for Nazuna, Ko realizes that, wait a minute, I still have the cops looking for me, that's right! As he has to duck away and hide from them. And it's at this moment that he actually has two cops call out to him to try to talk to him for a second. As Ko comments that the night really isn't all fun and games. As Ko comments to himself like, the night can be scary. I can be worried about it. But it's kind of fun at the same time. As he actually jumps off the bridge and jumps down and bolts out of there. And as he's running around town looking for Nazuna, he's thinking about everything that's happened over the course of our season, saying, "See, Nazuna, you taught me all this. That the night can be so much fun." As we transition to Nazuna, who's kind of having the opposite mindset right now, saying, "Man, I hope Ko's not pissed at me. But man, all I did was lie to him. I don't know how to have fun at night. I go on walks, drink booze, and play video games. That's all I really know what to do, but I tried to act all cool in front of him." And it's here that we get an incredible parallel to the first episode where they first met. Where it's reversed, that Nazuna's at the vending machine and Ko is the one that suddenly appears and found her. And this scene is fantastic. They did it so well. And Nazuna's really surprised seeing him like there. She's actually really flustered. Like, why are you here? Ko's like, "Are you alright? You're not injured, are you?" But Nazuna insists that, "I said I'm fine, didn't I?" Clearly flustered by the whole ordeal. As we transition to Nico saying, "Consequences are important, but no amount of beating is going to get through to that moron. Plus, violence isn't my thing. What I like to talk about is love. And that's how I ended things, just like I promised." As we transition back to Ko and Nazuna, as Ko tells her that, "Hey, I want to apologize, Nazuna." But Nazuna wants to brush it aside, saying, "There's no need for that. It's already over. It's dealt with. Don't worry about it." As Ko declares to her that, "I was always bored before I met you, Nazuna, but not anymore. What about you, Nazuna?" And she says, "Sure, it's been fun." As we transition back to Nico, as she says, "We're gonna go all out and root for these lovebirds, so you better do everything you can, Nazuna." As Nazuna says, "Yeah, it's been fun. So much so that I forgot I've been bored for ages. I hung out with you like a know-it-all just to look cool, but I never intended for any of it to be a lie. Everything we did was so new and fresh to me, Ko. I'm sorry about our date, but in the end, it was fun." As Nazuna steels herself to tell Ko something, but before she can, Ko suddenly grabs her and tells her that, "I had fun as well, Nazuna. Everything was so new to me. If you thought so too, then we just have to keep finding new things to do together. You and me both, we're no good at being alone." As he declares one more time that he's going to fall in love with her. "So I won't let you ever get bored again. Let's stay together forever." And this is definitely a critical hit on Nazuna in this situation. Definitely a critical hit. Ko, realizing what he just said, "Sorry about that. I got a little too excited and wasn't thinking about it." And it's at this moment that Nazuna kisses him while promising to herself that she'll become a vampire worth falling for. And it's a long kiss. Very intimate, actually. as we get this incredible shot of Nazuna afterwards, actually, as she says, "We're in this together," as the episode ends. And man, guys, what a great ending for the season. I think they did an absolutely fantastic job. This show is absolutely one of the best shows this season. I don't even think it's close, to be honest. I really don't. This was hands down one of the best shows this season. As a manga reader, let me tell you guys just how incredible of a job they did with this series. I could really gush about it forever. They did such an amazing job breathing so much life into the show that this whole episode just put such a huge smile to my face. And boy, did I really need to smile. And this show did just that. So you guys let me know what you thought down below, because it was great. I thought they did such a great job. But I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on it. And that's how our season ends, actually, guys. I very much think that we're going to get a season 2, for sure. We're definitely getting a season 2 at some point. This show was very popular this season, for sure. I fully believe we're getting another season. So, I can't wait until that, personally. But that'll be it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, just, they really did kill it. You know, I'm trying not to gush here, but they really did such a great job. I'm grinning like a fool right now. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day. And try to find you someone like Nazuna or Ko. Try to find someone like that in your life that can teach you the call of the night. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.